Nice. Hello and welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with another 4-color Loam stream. So recently taking up Maverick full-time pretty much over D&T, but now just trying out 4-color Loam as I'm feeling it's really good against a lot of these new Karn decks. So I've broken up the deck list here just a little bit so it's a little bit easier to understand. So 4-color Loam is of course a pretty mid-range deck. Tangy, apologies. Hopefully next time it lines up pretty well. I might even still be on when you get home, so we'll see how that goes. So I've broken up the deck between its mana base, its threats, how to win the game, and then also its disruption as well. Archline, thank you very much for the subscription. I believe that's 4 months, which is awesome. So send me a DM of a deck you want me to see, what you want me to play, and I'll see if I can put that online. So what we have here is pretty much the first column is our the mana base that allows us to interact with our opponent. So Grove's getting Punishing Fire, Wasteland and Ghost Quarter allowing us to interact with our mana base. Tranquil Thicket just to sort of draw cards, cycle land that also gets us back instant speed life from the Loam, which is really nice. And then just some one-off Knight of the Reliquary targets in Cabal Pit, Blast Zone, Karakas, and Maze of Ith. Here we have our jewels and fetch lands, which kind of shows the actual mana base we'll be working off to cast our spells. The third column is mainly our card advantage. So through Loam getting back lands, Sylvan Library able to pay life, and then of course Bob doing what Bob does best. We have our Green Sun Zenith package here. So I've actually added in an Excavator just because it's really good with Wasteland and Ghost Quarter in the main deck. And against decks like Miracles, we're able to actually go after their mana base because we have this Ghost Quarter. And especially with the uptick in Karn decks, which I hope to see in this stream, I think Ramunap's going to be really good. It doesn't... Loam can sometimes be a bit dirtily, whereas Ramunap's quite clean in that it just plays the land straight from the graveyard, which is nice. Chalice and Mox Diamond. So Chalice, of course, really good against the unfair decks. Really good against sort of Delver decks that base their main sort of spell slot in the 1 and 2 CMC spells. Mox Diamond allows us to get ahead, and then of course we don't actually lose the card because we can get the land back from Loam and Ramunap later on in the game, which is great. Punishing Fire, great in this deck with Grover's Burnwillows, Assassin's Trophy, and Abrupt Decay to get rid of sort of any on-field threats or cards that are keeping us from sort of activating our game plan. And then just one of each Liliana in the main deck. I think a lot of decks usually play a few more of each, but I kind of wanted to add a few more cards to the Green Suns package. I'd also like to see a split of the decays and trophies to 2 of each, but we'll see how that pans out. The other change that I did do was we had 2 Thalias, Thalia Guardian of Thraben in the sideboard. I've changed them to a Gaddock Teeg and a Sorcerous Spyglass. Again, really for the Karn decks. I kind of feel like Gaddock Teeg can come in against a whole range of decks. And Spyglass is also really nice. That Pithing Needle can be a little bit finicky sometimes, and you don't actually get to see their hand. I think seeing the hand's the biggest part of Spyglass. And against decks where you want Chalice and you also want Pithing Needle, maybe something like Reanimator, having the Spyglass that comes down as a 2-drop means you can still play Chalice for 1 and then in the following turn play the Spyglass. I've also adopted a Null Rod, which I think is quite good right now. There's a lot of D&T online. There's a few Eldrazi decks playing Karn. I was going to try out the 1 black instant where you can destroy target colorless card and gain life equal to its converted mana cost. I believe it was in the second last set, but I'm not sure what it's called. The 3 chokes are mainly for Grixis, Control, and Miracles. Golgari Charms and Tabernacle for the little creature decks. And then Knight of Autumn just as sort of Swiss Army Knight, as she's better known as. Yeah, that's pretty much my 4-color Loam deck. We'll see how this goes. We went 3-2 in the last league, which pretty devastating. It's always nice to try to go 4-1 at least, but 3-2 of course you get a free sort of league out of it because it just pays for itself. But we'll see how this goes. We'll go straight into a league. If you of course do want any of the cards in this deck, check out Card Hoarder online. They do sponsor this channel, which is awesome. And if you actually want them in paper, definitely check out MTG Mate. which is a Australian online store that sells a huge range of singles. You can actually get 5% off all their singles with the code word DOOGS. They have really fast delivery times. They only do Australia-wide tracking so far, but definitely keep an eye out for that international tracking. They will be at GP Brisbane, which is awesome. They will be at Eternal Weekend in Melbourne. So yeah, definitely check those guys out if you do want anything. Justin Aquino. This is an interesting hand. So it's a turn 1 Chalice and a turn 2 Knight. If we use the fetch lands... If we use the fetch lands first, we can actually make Knight a 4/4 on turn 2, which is quite nice. I think this hand is really nice. It really depends on what our opponent's playing. They might not care about a Chalice, but it's pretty sweet. Turn 1 Disruption, turn 2 Threat. Of course, turn 1 Chalice for 1 turns off Bolt, but I'm still pretty happy to try to get Knight of the Reliquary going as soon as possible. But a Bloodstained Mire for a Badlands, this could be something like a... Yeah... perhaps Black-Red Reanimator. So Grizzle in the bin, but no Reanimate yet. So there's a Wasteland. So it's interesting because we can Chalice for 1 here, which turns off Reanimate, or we can also Wasteland here, and then hope to do Chalice for 1 next turn. Wasteland turns off them having something like land and Animate Dead or Exhume. So that's 8 cards in their deck, being Animate Dead or Exhume. But I don't think their hand is exactly a land and a 2-mana Reanimate spell. I think it's most likely Reanimate and something else. So I think he will definitely go for Chalice for 1. I'm going to go for a Bayou, so we have access to double black next turn. Chalice for 1, and then we will pass. And just really hope that they don't have a land in a 2-mana Exhume, because once this Knight's down and online, we do have Bojuka Bog open, which is nice. It looks like Exhume, so that's pretty rough. We do have Leylands for this matchup, which is nice. We also have the out of Karakas. Although they have drawn a lot of cards, we can hopefully get this Grizzlebrand off the table. Maze of Ith is also quite nice. If I played the Wasteland there and Wastelanded them, I probably would have played the Mox as well, just in case they wanted to hit us with some sort of... Actually, I was going to say, yeah, if they were going to reanimate us, if they were going to unmask us, they probably would have taken the Chalice of the Night anyway. Animate Dead on the Night, okay. We kind of have to draw into a land here that we want, like Karakas, or else this game's going to be pretty much over. Another Chalice isn't the greatest. We could Chalice for 0 here if we wanted to. It stops Lotus Petals, although they've used 2 already. Fetching to get that extra damage in is pretty nice. Another Exhume's just game, sadly. But we do have some good sideboard cards, so it's not over yet. So I really like the ley lines. And I don't mind probably the Knight, just to hit things like Animate Dead if they get it early on. I'm happy to take out probably a Decay. And probably 2 of the Punishing Fires. Teeg can probably come out as well. It stops us from casting Chalice, but it only stops from them really unmask. Unless they play the green card that you can cast for free if your opponent gains 6 life to destroy target enchantment. Which I assume they would do anyway before the ley line's down, but you never know. Sylvan Library is still decent, so we'll definitely take out this. Ramunap's probably a little bit slow, and we probably even cut down to something like Ghost Quarter, and just go with this. Everything else is still pretty relevant, so pretty happy to go ahead and just hope this sticks. It's always interesting, if we do get the ley line down, if they do have the ability to sort of just Dark Ritual their threats out anyway. That's always something to look out for. I've definitely been Grave Titaned after a few Dark Rituals, which is pretty rough. But with the mix of Lotus Petals and Dark Rituals, it can be pretty rough. But yeah, pretty happy with this board. Andrew, good afternoon. I hope you're well. Hope you had a nice weekend. This land's pretty sweet. So we had a ley line, a Chalice for 0, and a Chalice for 1. We actually don't because we have the Mox Diamond. But I think we'll keep this, definitely. We'll play the ley line. Chancellor, okay. So I guess with the Chancellor, I can cast this Mox Diamond just to get rid of the Chancellor effect, play the Badlands, and then play Chalice for 0. That doesn't seem too bad. So we'll cast this. We won't be able to pay for it. Play the Badlands. We'll play this Chalice for 0. And then just pass turn. Stops Lotus Petal from them. Unmask is fine. Probably taking the Bob. Screws is pretty much irrelevant right now. If they take the Screws, it might mean they have something for the ley line. Taking the Bob, okay. Reanimating the Bob. Interesting. Alright. Another Void. That's pretty rough. We can't do anything here. We don't want to play this Chalice, of course. We're just going to pass turn. Badlands, okay. I guess they could die to their own Bob. They have a lot of high mana creatures in their deck. Cabal Pit. I guess we'll play it, and maybe we'll just go Chalice for 1. Stops in Tomb as well. Even though it's irrelevant with Leyline down, it might become relevant later on. Pithing Needle. Okay. Chalice for 1 of course stopping the Pithing Needle, which is nice. There's a Verdant, which is actually pretty nice, so I'm gonna crack this. Probably just for a Bayou. Actually no, probably for a Taiga so we have red online. I could also get white online with the Savannah. I think white's probably better. Grave Titan, interesting. I think I can take 1 hit here. I mean, the Bob is really good, even though it is killing them per se. We do have a lot of removal for it. Tranquil Thicket. We'll definitely cycle this. Night. To be fair, I probably should have kept the Screws back, because Bob's just going to get them closer to Grave Titan, which is pretty scary. And this Knight's only going to come down next turn, so I kind of got to draw something like a Wasteland here, just to keep them off 6 mana. Bob, ugh. Oh, I can't even cast Knight because I need a white and a blue and a white and a green. This matchup is Black-Red Reanimator, where I went turn 1 Leyline and Chalice for 0, and then went turn 1 Reanimate Dark Confidant after unmasking it. Sadly, I think we just gotta... I kind of like them... Yeah, I think flipping is actually probably our best bet to winning this game, because they most likely have another unmask. Okay. A Grave Titan coming down this turn, I believe. There's a Bayou, so it looks like they have 6 mana now. Unmask is pretty good. At least if they take the Knight, the Screws can become a 3/3, which can block the tokens from Grave Titan. I wonder if they want to attack first and see how I block and if I block. But it looks like they're just going for Grave Titan anyway. Yeah. Which is funny, because actually I talked about this when I brought in Leyline. They can just hardcast stuff. No attacks, okay. What do we flip? Decay. Grove. So at least Grove is access to another green mana. I think we just have to pass and see what happens. your thoughtseize. I mean, there's no point keeping one back. They get 2 more from the Grave Titan, unless they just want to keep them back for shenanigans. I'm not too sure. Yeah, right now Bob definitely is my win con. So I can definitely put the Dark Confidant in front of the Grave Titan. So block like this. I don't really want to give him any life as well, so I think here I'll just decay a zombie because at least it allows me to use some of my mana. Dryad Arbor is a blocker. What do they reveal? Lotus Petal. Do we get one more? Tom Viana, thank you very much for the follow. Let me know where you're from. What you play in Legacy, if you play Legacy, what your local scene's like. Alright, so now at least we can block. And we'll block like this. And then before damage, we'll use Scooz's ability to eat Dark Confidant. One, two, three, four, five, six. Could have also used Cabal Pit if I didn't eat the Dark Confidant beforehand, but I guess we'll see what we can draw into. Bob. Well, it does ping us a life, but we do save at least 2 life as a blocker. I mean, giving them extra life means that flipping an unmask isn't lethal. So I didn't want to do that. Ah, Marsh Flats. I think that's it. We can gain 2. So we... oh, we have one more turn, I think. I think we have one more turn. Watching from Japan? Very cool. I was in Japan last year for GP Shizuoka. Alright. Block like this, and then we have to eat 2 creatures, but we just die anyway. So yeah, not using that Cabal Pit last turn really cost us. Because yeah, we can go to 7 and go to 8, but we're taking 8 here anyway. Sadly not. Alright, so not the greatest start. Black Reanimator can just do that to you, especially if you keep a pretty risky one-lander with Leyline and Chalice. But yeah, turn 1 Reanimate on Bob is pretty good. It's not how they teach you, that was how it's played out. But yeah, Black-Red definitely a lot better with the London Mulligan. But now that that's gone, there's still definitely a few people that like to jam it online. I mean, there's nothing better than just playing some quick games online, maybe getting a few 5-0s, a few 4-1s, and getting some quick ticks. Playing infinite, as they say. Have a few local players as well who play Black-Red. A few that have tried out Blue-Black, but I think Black-Red's just the better deck. It's a lot more fast. Especially with Faithless Looting. Faithless Looting is a broken card. And the ability to play it in a deck that makes use of the graveyard as a resource is just, yeah, pretty good. Astral Drift is interesting. I never played during the Astral Slide era, so I don't really have a tight grasp of how powerful it is, but it's very cool to see it in Modern, and at least probably see some people try to test out with it and see if it's a viable strategy. I actually haven't read it. I should have a look. So Astral Drift is whenever you cycle Astral Drift or cycle another card while Astral Drift is on the battlefield, you may exile target creature, return that creature to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Interesting. Is it played because you play a lot of creatures yourself with ETB effects that are good, or do you play it because it just buys time against your opponents playing creatures? Or is it a mixture of both? Lost the roll. This hand's pretty good, so we can actually... We could Mox twice, play Chalice, or Mox twice and play Loam, so... Bloodstain Mire. Haha! Hopefully not the same thing. Okay, Volcanic Island, nice. So I'd love to draw a Wasteland here, because Wasteland plays around days really well. I can Wasteland and then Mox if I want to. Cabal Pit. So the benefit here is that I can actually Mox first and see if they daze it by not playing a land. They might actually think this is the only spell they get to daze. They don't. I think we'll get rid of Cabal Pit here. We can then cast a second Mox. Probably pitching the Blast Zone. Play a land for turn. And play a Chalice. It's going to get forced. Pitching Spell Pierce. So it doesn't give away a whole lot from what we're playing against. Mountain. Interesting, okay. So this looks to be Blue-Red Delver. Another Chalice is pretty good. Now we just pass turn. If I wanted to, I could have, of course, played the Loam and then the Chalice, but not playing around days. So I'm pretty happy just to play around days and then go back to it. I kind of hope this deck doesn't play True Name. Especially for the main deck, this deck really can't deal with it outside of Liliana of the Veil. Bob's pretty nice. I think I like fetching first. Get a Savannah. Loam targeting these three. Blast Zone seems fine. Play Bob. Wasteland's interesting. Go after the Blast Zone is more than fine. We do have Loam online, which is nice. We can definitely take this one because the pond is always going to get shut off by the Chalice, which is awesome. But yeah, I love that it actually triggers when it attacks, not when it deals combat damage. So I think if it was the other way around, it probably wouldn't see Legacy play, but you never know. Scrubland's nice. We'll definitely Dredge. Karakas, Assassin's Trophy, Chalice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Land. Happy to cast Loam, just getting back Blast Zone. They're just going to concede. I just wanted to get some more cards in the graveyard to turn on Cabal Pit, so I could try to get rid of this Arcanist, but it looks like it's going to be good anyway. So Choke seems pretty great. I don't mind taking out probably Teeg. One Sylvan Library. I can't be too aggressive with it against this deck. These two seem fine. Ramunap seems great. Bob's, maybe even like dropping a Bob doesn't seem too bad. We do play a lot of lands, and I mean, we play like 31 0-cast spells, so Bob isn't going to deal too much damage to us. And with Chalice, it's so nice to be able to protect it from, say, Bolt. Can probably take out a Loam. Loam's so good, though, because this deck's going to be pretty bad against Wasteland, which is nice. Maybe Tabernacle comes in. Maybe Tabernacle's better than Karakas. We have to cut one more card. It's probably just a Decay. As good as Decay is. Maybe it's actually a Punishing Fire, because at least Decay gets rid of Dreadnought. Pretty happy with this. Yeah, multiple tree names seem really good. This hand is okay. We can cast all our spells, but it's a little bit slow. So I'm pretty happy to mulligan this and see how we go, especially a game up. We'll definitely mulligan that. Again, not the greatest hand, but we'll keep it. A land is fine, but I kind of want to look for a Mox Diamond here. Delver, okay. Taiga's nice, because I was actually going to go fetch a Taiga, sorry. So I'm pretty happy to play a Windswept and pass, so that if I play the Taiga, they might Wasteland me, and it takes another turn to get the Sylvan Library down. At least here I can just fetch up something when I want to. Most likely a Bayou. If I didn't have the Dryad Arbor in hand, I could fetch it if I really wanted to. System TV, thank you very much for the sub. 5 months is a hell of a streak, so thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed my content. Hope you had a great weekend. Definitely let me know of a deck you want me to play on stream, and I'll see what I can get together. Okay. Bayou seems fine here, because now I can cast Scrubland and play the Savannah, and then hopefully have Liliana online next turn. A fetch here could mean something like Spell Pierce, or even Spell Snare if they play it. Spell Pierce, okay. You just keep doing you, thank you very much. So pretty happy this Delver didn't flip. We now have a target for the Wasteland, which is nice. Force, okay. Well, Force is going to do some work next turn for sure. A Brainstorm here means they probably have a fetch land, which is nice. At least they're brainstorming now and not in response to something that we cast, so it's a little bit less effective without knowing the contents of our hand. Grove is interesting. I'm pretty happy just to play this Lily and see if it resolves. Most likely not. Fetching. Interesting. Maybe they have like Price of Progress or something? Days. Hardcast. Okay. No. Punishing Fire would be sweet. I mean, it's kind of an overstatement, but some sort of removal now would be awesome, especially with us going down to 12 and 2 Insectile Aberrations being online next turn because we just saw a Brainstorm. Just gonna 6 this. So much we can do. Verdant. I mean, we can definitely Wasteland our opponent. That's at least a play that does something, but it's definitely very close to game. Especially in a deck that plays Lightning Bolt. Probably some number of Price to Progress or Chain Lightning as well. No flip. Ugh. Maybe he literally had nothing on top. They didn't have a fetch land to actually fetch anything away, so there it is. That's gonna be game. So to be fair, I think the Punishing Fire is better than the Lily. On the play, Dark Confidant seems really good. Maybe Ramunap's a little bit overkill. Yeah, maybe their hand was literally just just creature spells, because you'd think they put the non-creature back on top with Brainstorm to flip the Delver next turn. I do kind of like Golgari Charm as well. Maybe I like Golgari Charm over in Abrupt Decay, and then Punishing Fire number 3 over Lily. Actually, probably Trophy can come out. Decay is just so much better because I have so much counter magic. This is the Chalice hand. It's also a choke hand, so I'm pretty happy to keep this. Probably just lead on the Scrubland. Ponder's fine. Another choke. I think we'll go Grove here. I value the Chalice over the Sylvan Library over the Chalice. Just because we have no way to win the game right now, Sylvan Library is going to allow us to dig for that. So I'm happy to play this into a Daze here and see if they have a Daze. They don't, which is actually quite nice for us. Especially with no turn 1 Delver. But a Wasteland on this Grove would be pretty crucial. Pretty brutal, sorry, for us. They're going to take care of the Scrubland. Interesting. Especially when they know we played Loam. Mox Diamond. I don't want to cast this Mox Diamond yet. I'm happy to go Wasteland. You can have a life, and we'll cast Sylvan Library. They didn't have Daze last turn. I don't think they have Daze now. They have Force. Okay. Another waste? Okay. Interesting. Loam off the top? Knight. I think I'm happy to cast this Mox and get rid of the Maze. I don't believe they play any sort of graveyard payoffs, like Serpent. They're not splashing black for Gomag, or at least we haven't seen thus far. So if I don't draw a land here, I'll definitely just Wasteland. Another Chalice isn't the greatest. Another Chalice for 1 isn't too bad. Just to play around like a Braid. Ah, yeah, they might have Terramander. There's the Abrade on the Mox Diamond, so going after our mana. It's kind of scary. Pyro. Okay. This is where we can get stuck. One more turn. Trinium is pretty good. This is what Golgari Charm's going to do pretty well. We did bring in 1. I think that's just game, sadly. Yeah, rip for sure. It's always tough when you have like some really nice haymakers in the hand, but they just don't get there. So we're going to be going down to 9 here, and then it looks to be lethal the following turn, even just without Punishing Fire Online. Verdant probably a little bit too slow. Oh, okay. Gonna make a 1/1. We still need 2 cards. We need a land and Golgari Charm, which is pretty rough. Tough. Tough. But that is fine. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Which is pretty rough. I think this deck has a pretty hard time against True Name sometimes. Yeah, that's fair enough. Multiple chokes is probably a little bit better if I thought about it a little bit more. I just didn't think they'd have the counter magic because they didn't force the Abrade the turn before. But that is life. Definitely a lot easier to see my mistakes after I play it. But that is foresight for you. Choke's still a really good card. Choke's still a really good one. Yeah, neg 1 effects are really good against blue-red. Yeah, maybe even the second Golgari Charm was better than the third Abrupt Decay. But that is why we play. Would love to get on the play. That would be nice. I can definitely see this deck doing a lot better on the play. There we go, with a Chalice. No Chalice, but a feasible hand. We'll keep it. It's a little bit slow. I think we'll lead on the Bayou and pass. I don't think it's too bad on the blind. I mean, we have a nice answer to something like a Delver. We have Disruption in Wasteland. We have a threat in Night. Grove. Taiga kind of gives away the deck, and if there's show and tell, I'm pretty happy to not give away what I'm on, so I'm pretty happy to go Windswept Heath and pass. Flooded Strand, interesting. Ghost Court is interesting. I don't really want to play my Night Out yet. If they are miracles, getting laid down by a back to basics would be pretty huge. Mental's fine. We have the Abrupt Decay, which is nice. I think I'll just get a... I have to kind of get a Savannah because I want white. So I play much EDH. I used to play a lot. I used to play Kalia, which is quite a competitive card. I think it's a pretty fun format. I'd love to play like Gaddock Teeg or some sort of hate bear deck like 3-color with what's it called? You know the card. We all know the card. It's called Anafenza the Foremost. There we go. I think Anafenza would be a pretty sweet general. Do I want to Ghost Quarter here? I don't really want to Ghost Quarter here because it could just give them a plains to path this night on our turn, so pretty happy to keep it back for now. Maybe I want to do it into their draw step. Yeah, Kalia and Master of Cruelties is gross. I think that's actually when Master of Cruelties came out, was when I was playing it. Yeah, I don't mind sacking it here after they've drawn.
Auto shutdown initiated.
Swords is fine. Is this the new arena update? Squad Chief, you are correct. Sadly not. This is where back to basics would be pretty brutal. Narset, okay. We don't really draw more than one card a turn other than Sylvan Library, which is still a very good card. Volcanic Island, interesting. Narset is a dig through time. It's also just a turn to search for Scanter that's a lot harder to deal with. Sylvan Library's pretty dead here. So let's play the Knight. See if it resolves. Okay. I guess now we just waste them. And hope they don't fall out with, like, Jace. Nasting it to Jace would be pretty brutal. Even back to basics. I don't think they're playing Daze in this deck. There's Jace. So that's just going to be a concession. Way too good. I like the chokes. I like the Ajani. I like the Teeg. I like the Knight. What don't I like? Libraries are really good, but Narset just makes them so bad. I don't mind popping down on Maze. Probably dropping 2 Knights. Ramunap's still okay. Maybe it's just a Loam. Loam isn't that great against them. Pretty happy for that. Pretty weird to be taking out Sylvan Library, but I might as well see how it goes. This is a turn 2 choke with Dryad Arbor, which isn't too bad. But other than that, it's not really anything. But I'm happy to see how that goes. I think I'll just get Forest and then go Green Suns for Dryad Arbor. Yeah, Spell Pierce seems sweet. It seems better than Flusterstorm right now, considering the meta and how Khan's done a bit. Blast Zone's been amazing. It was pretty funny. The first time we cast Blast Zone, we got a 4-for-1 against humans, but when I went to put counters on it, I actually just floated the mana and then let it resolve. I didn't do the whole what you're supposed to do with adding the mana to like your Blast Zone pool. Yeah, it's interesting. I think post-board we have a few good... like, Choke seems fine, but... it's... another Green Suns. It can be pretty rough post-board as well, because they kind of know what you're playing against now, and Miracles can just kind of... they can shift their game plan a little bit better than we can. Trying to bait out a Spell Pierce here. Getting Teeg is still really nice.
Auto shutdown cancelled. Charging battery.
Yeah, I think cutting libraries, like, definitely not optimal, but getting Narset at a few times and not having the Abrupt Decay for it is pretty rough. Chalice. I think I'm happy to play a land. Chalice for 1. Ah, I can't, of course, because Teeg. I wonder if they'll let me actually... Will they allow me to attack? So obviously they're holding up either Counterspell or Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce, still really good against Choke. We're not doing anything with our turn if we don't do anything here, which is rough. I mean, I'd rather... I'm not a very patient guy, so I'd rather just jam the Choke here and see how it goes. And at least if it doesn't resolve, we have a full turn next turn to try something out. This Brainstorm kind of means Spell Pierce is the only out because they can't force with Teeg on the field. They could just say they could get a disenchant in hand and then just play a land next turn and disenchant it, but Tundra, okay. Wow, Brainstorming again, so they can't force through this, so they're going to have 2 tapped islands this turn. And they're just going to concede, which is interesting. Maybe I'm going down to 1 night and I'm just playing out my... I can probably even drop a Bob on the play. Yeah, they might have forgotten about Chalice and they might have brainstormed into a force. I don't mind this. I think Mox Diamond's still fine. Being able to get ahead of our opponents is pretty good, and turning off Spell Pierce as soon as possible is nice, so having more answers to Narset as well isn't too bad. Especially if they want to play a Narset, we can throw a Choke down if they're tapped out, so... Miracles is always rough. I think Jitesh knows that pretty well. We've had some pretty good battles. Hopefully meeting up at Eternal Weekend to play it out again. Means they didn't have disenchants in. Sounds pretty good. The Wastelands are pretty much dead, but at least they allow us to cast some cards on curve, so we have some time to find the white source and the second black source for Gaddock Teeg and Lily. I mean, Mox Diamond here would be nice. Confidant. I think it's an easy Bayou pass. And then next turn is interesting. I think I still want a Chalice for 1. It depends what they keep up as well. If they keep up blue mana, it's a little less... Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. 4. How do you stop that? How do you stop that? No! No! Oh, no. Oh, I accidentally went to click, Yep. That's rough. That's rough. I got a discard now. Wow. Alright. That's a punt. Yeah, MTGO shenanigans. Not the greatest. Back to basics is annoying but fine. I think we just go Forest Chalice for one. Bob's a little bit more easier to remove with Swords to Plowshares in the deck. They're going to force a pitching the other back to basics, so... It is Punt City. Fetch straight away most likely just means Jace, which is pretty rough. We do have Assassin's Trophy in the deck, which is nice. We can't trade the next turn because we have the Bayou. Tranquil Thicket's interesting. I'm not tapping out this turn anyway, so I might as well cycle this and see what we get. I mean, a Mox Diamond would be okay. Sylvan Library. The fetch here at least means if they go to... Fate Seal us and leave a card on top, we can shuffle it in the end step. I still like playing the Chalice there, because at least they're tapped out. The choke's definitely not resolving if they're passing turn with 4 mana up. Knowledge is fine. Savannah. So my options are Teeg, Dark Confidant, Choke, Sylvan Library. I don't mind Sylvan Library to try to draw further into something like Abrupt Decay or Assassin's Trophy. So at least if it... It's going to stick around a lot more than the Bob as well, most likely. I think Council's Judgment and Disenchant are the only way to get it off the field without forcing. Choke them physically? I do not condone any sort of physical harm to my opponents, of course. Fetch. Interesting. Mentor's pretty good. Punishing Fire. I mean, I can try. It's just a pretty rough stream. Pretty fun, but it's not worth wastelanding here, of course, because it gives us an open mana, and it doesn't benefit them. They're going to have their bulk tapped for a while now. Surgical is fine. Kudos to them for bringing it in. Wasn't too sure if they were actually going to be that. I guess it is an answer to Jace per se, but the back to basics answer is the Grove, so back to basics is kind of an answer to Punishing Fire. Teeg. I think that's just a concession. That's going to be way too hard to come back from. So a pretty sad stream so far, but the games have been pretty fun. So, you know, that's what counts. The deck is pretty fun as well. I mean, any deck with Mox Diamond and Chalice in it is always going to be in my heart as a pretty fun deck to play. Just the ability to really put a grip on your opponent's mana and the type of spells they can cast is pretty awesome. And to fit a card like Gaddock Teeg and a card like Null Reliquary in the deck as well, I think 4-color Loam appeals to a lot of people. Especially from like a non-blue deck perspective, it actually puts up a fight pretty well against blue decks. I didn't just there, but you can definitely see where not having access to blue can just kind of put you in a spot where you don't have the greatest realistic ability to win the game. There are some really good 4-color streamers out there. I know Arkan streams a lot, and also Dan. You think Miracles is? I think it's actually Show and Tell. I think Sneak and Show is pretty horrendous for 4-color. We don't really have much removal for them. Yeah, well, I guess fun is pretty subjective. We're on the play, which is nice. And it's a really slow hand. This is like an all 2-drop hand. But we're on the play at least, so I'm going to keep it. I'm just going to go with the Windswept Heath pass. I don't want to get Wastelanded out straight away if we are playing against a Wasteland deck. The only upside of keeping the fetch land is that if we go land, draw land, we can then have a fetch land up for Sylvan Library if we cast it. Teeg. So against a counter magic deck, I could actually just play the Bob here because we have 2 of them. It does open them up to Swords to Plowshares as an answer as well. I could just cast this Chalice as well to try to slow them down. The only great thing about Sylvan Library and Dark Confidant is that it gives us a little bit more edge to draw a land and a Mox Diamond to play around things like Days a little bit more easily. Force pitching Brainstorm, okay. Most likely Miracles again. A basic island kind of enforces that. Just gonna 6-6 because we can't do anything. They're gonna fetch button. Counterbalance, okay. Another Chalice. We kind of just lose to back to basics anyway, so there's not much we can do there. They did force the Chalice, so I'm pretty happy to play this Chalice and hopefully see if it resolves. They will need to blind flip a 2-drop. Ponder on top. So Ponder's dead, so maybe they need another force. They don't have one, which is great. So Ponder's going in hand as a card we know about. Predict. Ah, in the upkeep. Very nice. Plains. I like Sylvan Library here. Terminus on top. Okay, so that's a great reason why not to go Bob, but the other reason for Bob is if they play something like Jace and just bounce it, it's pretty annoying. I don't think Sylvan Library's got a lot more versatility. Outside of something like Council's Judgment in the main deck, they don't have much answer to it. Mentor's fine. Luckily we have, hopefully, a red source on top. I think I'll keep the Ghost Quarter. Volk on top. And then I'm going to cast the Brainstorm just to keep the Mentor alive, which is a pretty smart move. Another Mentor is pretty strong. Need to find a Grove? I guess. I mean, we could play the... we can't even... I was keeping the Windswept so you could fetch and then hopefully cycle into something. To Fairy. Okay. I just fetched the wrong land. I just fetched the wrong land. I was going to play the Gaddock Teeg because I thought this was a Savannah. It was not. But the double Mentor is pretty rough to get through. So it's going to be a pretty easy switch. This is what I like. And this is what I don't like. So that's a pretty nice switch. You can definitely see the deck where a hand without Mox Diamond and a bunch of 2-elves can just be too slow. Especially on mana, it just punishes us a little bit too much. There's so many lands in the deck that are kind of doing different things that some of them you don't even want to play. Like a Tranquil Thicket in the opener just isn't the greatest because you're not wanting to play it as an actual land drop. Top 5 legacy decks right now. I really don't know. I think Blue-White Stoneblade's up there because there's just so many people playing it and I did win the last GP. I think like a Karn Post / Karn Eldrazi deck is up there. Blue-White Miracles is great. Probably a Grixis control deck. That's 4. And then the 5th is probably... I don't know, maybe some sort of mid-rangey build. Maybe something like 4-color or Maverick that just kind of punishes the Karn decks and has a bit of game against the control decks. It's always pretty rough. This is okay, but not the greatest. Well, we'll see how it goes. A turn 2 Bob is always nice. Well, I don't really want to draw my forest for turns, that's why I played the Windswept Heath. Yeah, it's fair. I mean, it's pretty subjective. I mean, if, like, from my understanding that if Stoneforge Mystic decks are doing pretty well, then any deck that plays K commands is going to do pretty well as well. Rough, but fair. Yeah, Grixis can find them though. I mean, the new Diabolic Edict's pretty good. Back to basics coming back wouldn't be too bad because we have the fetch land for Abrupt Decay, which is nice. Interesting. I don't mind playing Mox here. Getting rid of Dryad Arbor because it's something we can eat with Screws. Just to make it bigger than something like an Ambush Viper Snapcaster Mage. It also gives us a mana source that isn't hit by back to basics. Fetch here could mean Snapcast to give Swords to Plowshares flashback and then just allow the Screws to resolve. Which looks like what it is. Can't do much there. Yeah, Turbo Depths is interesting, especially if a lot of the Khan decks are playing Thespian Stage. It doesn't seem the greatest. Jace is pretty good. Ben Tinfins would be pretty fun. I am 100% on board with that. Wasteland, pretty sad times here. Dryad Arbor already in the bin means this Verdant Catacombs isn't doing much. Wasteland isn't doing much as well. Abrupt Decay, not the greatest either. I think we just play the Verdant Catacombs because we can maybe draw into something like another Sylvan Library, which gives us a shuffle effect in a little bit, but they're going to Surgical Chokes. Okay. This is rough. This is really rough. Infected1604, thank you very much for the follow. Let me know where you're from. Oh, you subbed with Twitch Prime? You legend. Thank you very much. A huge thank you. Let me know where you're from. What you play in Legacy, if you play Legacy. That sub goal is getting closer and closer, so a huge thank you. I don't think Narset is a threat. Council's Judgment's pretty good. Ajani, but they drew the Council's Judgment. I guess we could Ajani here and keep their planes tapped. Yeah, but if I draw into Library, I can still Library and Decay in the same turn. Let me quickly check if this is actually attacking me or Ajani. Ajani. I think I'll just take it. Volcanic Island. Oh, don't be from the ashes. That's pretty good. I think we just concede there. Do we? Maybe we actually try to get there with Ajani. I mean, that's all we can do right now, so we can at least... Decay Snap. From the Ashes, I believe, just destroys all our lands. We have no basics to go and get. If they get to get another white card, or white source. A mountain, interesting. We have nothing else, that is fine. Trophy. So I have the option here of actually trophying a white source, but if I trophy the plains here, and then the tap down does nothing, and the fetch can just be a fetch until it actually is needed to get a white source, so I can't actually take them off Council's Judgment next turn anyway with Assassin's Trophy. I think this goes towards the Jace. If they play a Mentor though, it's pretty rough, but I'd rather just take them off the Jace now. If possible. That also gets them the second white source, so I think it's pretty hard to get out of that anyway. Let's not go 05. Let us not go 05. That is the 05 in front of 28 players. That is probably my lowest point, so I'm glad that you guys are here. Yeah, it's definitely a lot weaker than Maverick in my opinion, but I'm definitely not the player to base that assumption on. There are some really good 4-color Loam players on MTGO. A lot better than this. Its hand's okay. It's got some removal. It's got some combo hate. It's got some longevity with Dark Confidant. So I was supposed to press keep. That's fine. We'll keep this. There we go. We'll bottom this. Dredge? Haha. Okay. Street Wraith. LED. What's the spell with the old dude? Breakthrough. There we go. Here's a breakthrough. Interesting. Maybe they want to LED on the stack, sack it, and then dredge their draws, but... Yeah, especially if they go off here. I mean, we can draw into Bajuka Bog. That's about it. So we do have a draw step that's actually worth maybe considering. So they have a Putrid Imp. Oh, they have a Golgari Grave Troll. Okay. And a Faithless Looting. Okay. I think they had a Grave Troll. Unless they drew it, that's why. Okay. I mean, I can Wasteland them. That's about it. Yeah, I think you just LED in response if you have the Dredger in hand, so... Another bridge is pretty good. Definitely attack, and then most likely Cabal Therapy in the second main, which I'll just concede to, because I don't see myself winning here. Oh, they're just going to sack it. Get bridge triggers, okay. Interesting. No Cabal? Grove's not great. I think we can take out these. Does Teeg stop? Yeah, Teeg stops Breakthrough, I guess. I mean, we're definitely bringing in 4 ley lines. That seems great. I could bring in the Tabernacle. The Tabernacle actually seems pretty funny. Yeah, it does stop Dread. Chalices can probably come out. Chalice for 1 is really the only... I guess Chalice for 0 stops LED. I can probably take out Karakas for the Tabernacle. Maybe the Maze of Ith. I don't really want the Maze of Ith in this deck for Dredge. Decays seem okay. Loams are a little bit late. Knights are great because they can go get Bajuka Bog, which is not in this deck. Bajuka Bog is not in the deck. So there's 4. Because there's no Bajuka Bog, maybe we can take out a knight or 2. Ramunap can probably come out, and there we go. That's enough for me. This is fine. Would love to play first. We don't have anything great, so we'll mulligan this. We have a Chalice for 0. We don't have a ley line. We're gonna go for a ley line. There we go. This hand's fine. Bob is great. We'll put that on top. We'll play the ley line. We'll play a land and then just Chalice for 0. Gemstone. At least Nature's Claim doesn't do it, which is nice. Oh, it actually does. I was thinking of the Chalice. That's rough. Nothing yet. Okay. Black, blue, Golgari Thug. Casting it, okay. Bayou's nice. Another ley line, okay. Do I want to cast Loam? I don't think I do. Maybe I do, just so we have the ability to dredge. Second ley line is good. If you have 2 in play, they won't be able to come back. Yeah, other than actually attacking with their creatures, which is definitely something they could do in this deck. Prized Amalgam? Stinkweed Imp. Okay, they've got to fly now. Another Bob. We won't replace. We'll get him with Decay, so. Happy. Decay the Stinkweed and get in some damage. What I was looking for was a 4th land for the ley line. So if I Loam there, I can't actually cast the ley line anyway. They're definitely losing some life off their mana base. That's for sure. Just gonna draw twice again here. We did draw that land, so I'm still happy drawing into something like removal. Knight's actually pretty good. So I can actually cast a second ley line here, which I'm pretty happy to do, over playing the Knight, just in case they do have an end step. Ability to get rid of it. Yeah, Captain QC, right on board with you. Looting's fine. Really just digging from them. No attacks, okay. Tabernacle, interesting. Windswept. Happy to actually just wasteland this gemstone mine, so now they're all their mana sources actually deal damage to them, which is quite nice. Breakthrough, interesting. You got it. And they're going to concede. Okay, so we go to a third. And hopefully get there. Because, yeah, an 05 never feels great. To be fair, new decks take time. So if you are playing a new deck in paper or online, definitely stick to it. The only way you're going to get better is through just reps with the deck. So yeah, never take an 05 personally. I don't think there's anything I want to change post board. I could take out the chalices if I wanted to, but because the ley lines come down, we might be able to stop them for 1 sec. SBM77, SBM77, thank you very much for the follow. Let me know where you're from, what you're playing Legacy, if you play Legacy. This hand's a bit too fair, so we'll definitely let go of this. Got a ley line, we'll keep this. Another ley line. I think if we lose this game, it's because they get rid of this before we cast our second, so I don't mind having another one on top. You play cube mostly? Interesting. Just gonna play a fetch land and pass. Nothing from them, interesting. I might just take out one of the lands from the deck, probably the Savannah. Another Knight's pretty good. Yeah, maybe they just kept a really good hand that if I have Leyline, I have Leyline. Bob's interesting. Knight's a little bit better here. That is very correct. Looks like they have something here. Golgari Thug, okay. Wasteland. I mean, we can double waste on them here. Double Wasteland does seem pretty good. All right, so we get a win. We get a win. We go 1-4, which isn't great, but the deck was really fun. I think the list is pretty solid. If anything, it was just us not being as knowledgeable with the deck as we are with other decks. And maybe some of the plays could have been probably thought out a little bit more. Yeah, big oof for 1-4, Lord Hex. You are 100% correct there. Never feels great, but hopefully build from here. Hopefully build from here. This deck is so much fun to play. I think it's quite well positioned right now, even though I did pretty poorly. I think it has a pretty better matchup against the decks we played than I had. Even little things like my opponent going turn 1 Faithless Looting off of Badlands and having 2 cards left. We played a Chalice for 1 instead of Wastelanding. Chalice for 1 because I assumed they had Wasteland and didn't have a land and a 2-mana reanimate spell like Exhume or Animate Dead. Whereas if we Wastelanded first, we could have then played the Chalice next turn. But either way, it's always those little interactions that can sway a game so much. More Planeswalkers probably in this deck. I did cut a few Planeswalkers for some more creatures like Ramunap Excavator, which I thought was pretty good right now. Yeah, the hands were rough. Some of them just didn't have like the turn 1 Moxes or the Chalices that we wanted. A lot played really fair, where it was kind of 3 or 4 lands and then just some 2 and 3 drops together, which definitely gave us something to do during our early turns. But we weren't able to be explosive enough to really get ahead of our opponents. But yeah, that is the deck. I was going to pass you guys over to CBR MTG, who are actually playing tonight as well. CBR MTG are another Australian content creator. They do some really cool brews, which is awesome. I believe Angus starts at 8, which is in just over 2 hours. Sorry, just over an hour. So definitely check him back out if you're back tonight. Yeah, pretty much like D&T without the vials. It's a whole different game against Miracles without the turn 1 vial. It's just so much harder to actually keep a board presence around and not be able to deploy threats at the end of their turn after they've sweeped with like a Supreme Verdict or a Terminus. But yeah, that's the deck. A huge thank you to you guys for coming in. A huge thank you for my new subscribers. I play on Wednesday nights and usually Saturday or Sunday mornings at 9:45 a.m. Wednesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. You can catch my videos on YouTube. You can see the link below. You can catch my updates on Twitter. Pretty active on Twitter. I have a site called the Green Sun Zenith, which is pretty much Maverick based. So if you are a fan of these sort of decks, definitely check out the greensunzenith.com for all your Maverick needs. If you do want any of these cards online, I do of course have a card hoarder account, which is awesome. You can find my referral code below. If you're Australian and you want these cards in paper, definitely check out mtgmate.com.au because I have a 5% off code for all singles if you use Dukes, which is cool. MTGmate, of course, have really good delivery times. Nick's really cool to work with. If you ever have questions about the site, definitely message him and he'll get back to you straight away. But that is me. Huge thank you to you guys. I will hopefully see you again on Wednesday. Most likely back to Maverick, but I do actually have a deck coming in from a subscriber, which will be Tin Fins. So Ben, if you're still listening, send me a list if you have one, and I will put it together and see how Tin Fins goes online. Thank you very much. It's been Dukes on Twitch. Enjoy your Sunday nights. Cheers.